Hello, welcome back to yet another session of What Does the Law Say? Thank you for tuning in. Yours truly, Louis Pretorius from Blue Umbrella, the Occupational Health and Safety Professionals. The law we're referring to, as a reminder, is the Occupational Health and Safety Act and Regulations, Act 85 of 1993 of South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, and employers and employees and safety professionals, colleagues, I want to be brief this morning, if I can. The two things I want to discuss in this session is the following. The purpose of a health and safety plan, and where does the safety file fit in. But let's read what does the Occupational Health and Safety Act says. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you are welcome to read this for yourself to ensure that I am indeed quoting from the Act and the regulations. Now, we will find the health and safety plan, and we will find the specifications or the indication to the safety file in Construction Regulations 7, where the heading is the duties of principal contractor and contractor. Let's just quickly run through this and get a baseline for departure. It says a principal contractor must provide and demonstrate to the client, the person he's going to do the work for, in other words, a suitable, sufficiently documented, and coherent, here's the key, site-specific plan. Not a generic health and safety plan, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to customize that to site requirements and to your own company needs. Right. Part B says, open and keep on site a health and safety file, which must include all documentation required in terms of the Act and these regulations, which must be made available on request. Then it carries on. It says, and if you as a principal contractor appoint a contractor, here are the things you need to comply with. So it's 7C1. Provide contractors who are tendering to perform construction work with the relevant health and safety specifications. I want to talk to you about that one. Remember that. Ensure that the potential subcontractors have sufficient provision for health and safety measures. Carries on. Ensure the contractor is appointed to perform construction work is reasonably satisfied to appoint and have the necessary competencies. It carries on. Is registered and in good standing with a compensation insurer. Carry on. Appoint, do legal appointments, each contractor in writing on the part of the construction site. Okay? Take reasonable steps to ensure that each contractor health and safety plans is implemented and they're maintained. Okay? It's not a state secret. All right. Ensure periodic site audits. Ensure means you've got to do it. It's not like whether you think you're going to do it. You have to. All right. Let's carry on. Stop any contractor executing work if it's not safe. Oh, wow. Where changes are brought onto the design, retrain, reinform. Discuss and negotiate the contents of the health and safety plan. Okay. In other words, it's a live working document. So is your HIRA document, live working document. It's not something you set up and it stays in the file and you never look at it again. No. It's part and parcel of everyday activities. Good. Okay. And it carries on what it's got to say. Now, this is a file we've recently rejected on attempt number 4, which doesn't comply with the requirements of the Act. Here's another file received yesterday. Okay? That means nothing. I always say less is more. In this case, it's not the case. We at Blue Umbrella, our intention is not necessarily to step on any toes, ladies and gentlemen. But you've got to understand, we try and give you information which is factual. And in instances like this, we talk from experience. If you in any way feel offended, you feel you want to discuss it, please go to our website. I will say it at the end of the session. And let's engage. But what I want to talk to you, a lot of people will compile a health and safety file because the Act says so. I understand that. And sometimes there's nobody that checks you. But the question that you got to ask yourself, as an employer, and sometimes as an employee, but more so as a health and safety person or professional, what are the legal implications if I just slap something together just for the sake of slapping it together? What if things go wrong? What am I going to say to the Department of Labor? What am I going to say to my fellow shareholders? What am I going to say to my employees' families that might have been killed or severely hurt? How is it going to affect my bottom line, my pocket? Now I leave that question with you. Ladies and gentlemen, normally a health and safety plan is derived from the health and safety specifications given to you as a contractor by the client, which the client expresses his wishes as to how and what he wants you to comply. Now those wishes are normally municipal bylaws, local legislation, its own site requirements, its own flavor of how they want the site run. Your reply normally to the health and safety specifications is your health and safety plan. The client might also call it contractor management. So in this health and safety plan, you give your intent, you give your compliance, you state what you will do going forward. Based on this health and safety plan, it means that you've already done a risk assessment or a semi-risk assessment. You must probably have visited the site. You have familiarized yourself with the scope of work and a lot of those things. They cannot be generic, guys. It's just not possible. Because when you deal with an auditor, well, like me, for example, I am meticulous. I will find those things and I will immediately recognize if you just slap something together. Because, guys, at the end of the day, I bring it back to what happens if you stand in the brown box and you've got to please and explain. Right. Now, the safety file as well. You can't just put things in a safety file, and I read it on the social media forums every day, that there are health and safety apprentices and interns and health and safety officers, and even some health and safety managers, surprisingly, that asks, what must be in a safety file? Now, guys, I'm going to name a couple of things just quickly off the top of my head. The letter of good standing, WCL2 forms, Annexure 1, Incident and Accident Investigation Procedure and forms, copies of IDs, copies of medicals, copies of competencies, legal appointments, checklists, work procedures, policies, work instructions, man hours, incident and accident investigation forms, monthly checks, weekly health and safety checks, audit forms. You can carry on, guys. There's a whole list of it. Okay? But I think the point I want to bring across is that it disturbs me that not everybody shares that same passion and that same urgency and the same understanding of what the legal implications, the civil implications are of not complying with the Occupational Health and Safety Act and regulations in terms of doing a health and safety plan, in terms of providing a safety file. I thank you for watching. Please go to our website, www.blueumbrella.co.za. Get my contact information. Like I have said in basically every session, let's engage. If you differ from me, by all means, I'm open to criticism. If you agree with me, or if you need help and assistance or advice or guidance, or you just want to soundboard with me, WhatsApp me, email me, you know what, phone me, whatever, let's drink a cup of coffee. You have a great day. Bye-bye.